Welcome to This Week from Blue Mountain Broadcasting. I'm your host, Lynelle Ellis, president of Blue Mountain Broadcasting Association, and I'm delighted that you have tuned in, especially because on today's show, I am going to be interviewing three ladies representing the Common Roots Housing Trust. What is that, you might ask? And we are going to find out on today's show. It's an exciting initiative happening here in our community. And also, I am going to be sharing with you the latest in station news, including updates about our new facility. So you'll want to stay tuned for that as well. And let's begin now with the final part in our devotional series. Today we are looking at the fifth part in our series on the life of Christ that we began at the beginning of December, where we started telling the story of Jesus coming to earth, a story that's been very important to us once again at this time of year. Well, the story has continued on. Last week we talked about Jesus on the cross, and we'll continue with our next part now. These readings that I'm sharing with you are coming from a little book called Messiah, which has been adapted by Jerry D. Thomas from the classic work, The Desire of Ages by Ellen G. White. And I'm very happy to share with you today's reading called Resurrection. As dawn lighted up the eastern sky, a great earthquake shook the world. A flash of glory split the sky as heaven's mightiest angel came down and rolled away the stone from the tomb as if it were a pebble. As the rest of the angel armies surrounded the tomb, Satan's hosts fled. The normally brave Roman soldiers trembled, acting like they had been captured without so much as a fight. Then the angel cried, "Son of God, come out. Your Father is calling you." Out of the darkness of the tomb stepped Jesus, the Messiah, the Savior, the glorified Son of God. In a mighty voice that could no longer be silent, he proclaimed, "I am the resurrection and the life." As he stepped out, clothed in his divine majesty and glory, the angel army greeted him with songs of praise. In Jesus, the eternal life that we lost because of sin can be restored. He has the right and the power to give immortality. Jesus said, "I came to give life, life in all its fullness. And those who eat my flesh and drink my blood have eternal life, and I will raise them up on the last day." To the Christian, death is just a sleep, a moment of silence and darkness. The voice that cried from the cross, "It is finished," will penetrate graves and tombs, and those who died believing in Jesus will rise. At his second coming, all of his children who have died will hear his voice and come out to a glorious life that never ends. Please stay tuned. I'll be right back. Welcome back to This Week Show. I am so glad that you've tuned in to us now as we are on a Zoom recording and a Zoom conversation with three very important women in our community who are working to better the housing situation here. We have Rachel Elfenbein, who is the Advocacy Coordinator with Community Council, and also Catherine Beninga, the Study Coordinator for Community Council, and Nancy Riggle, Executive Director of Valley Residential Services. So ladies, thank you for being here and welcome.
Thank you for having us.
First question, what is the Common Roots Housing Trust? And Rachel, maybe you could help us out with that one.
Sure. So Common Roots Housing Trust is a new nonprofit organization that we're working together to start in our region in Columbia and Walla Walla counties in the Milton-Freewater area. And Common Roots will build and renovate homes in order to create permanently affordable homes for community members whose needs are not met by the traditional housing market.
Very good. And how did all of this come about?
About 2 years ago, Community Council did an affordable housing study. So there were quite a few of us in the community that were involved in the study. Then after the study was over and the report was published, it spun off 3 affordable housing implementation task force. So I've been serving on 2 of those task forces, and one of them was to work on new options for housing in our community. So that's how this came about, and we've narrowed down our focus to look at housing, land trusts, and hopefully provide something new and different for people in the community.
So the fact that you had this study and really our own experience in the community would indicate to us that we have some issues with affordable housing. What are some of these issues that we're facing? And maybe Catherine, you could start out and let us know some of the statistics and sort of what we're dealing with.
Sure, and I'll speak from the perspective of what our study committee learned during our 9-month study process. We learned, well, first of all, that a lot of our population struggles with housing affordability. And when we talk about housing affordability, the term that sort of is nationally recognized is cost burdened. And you're considered cost burdened if you spend more than 30% of your income on your rent or your mortgage and your utilities. And what we found is that in our region, 41% of our population is cost burdened. And that's a really high number. It's higher for renters. In our region, 51% of the renters are cost burdened and 31% of homeowners. When you look at it just at the level of the whole population that's cost burdened, that 41%, that's actually higher than the percentage that's cost burdened in a place like Seattle, which, as everybody knows, has very high housing costs.
Yes.
And you know, there's a couple of reasons as to why that is. One of the reasons is that we haven't been producing enough housing for our population over the last probably decade or so. Part of that is because housing construction costs have become very expensive. During the recession, a lot of construction companies closed, and so that industry really hasn't come back to its sort of pre-recession level. Another thing that we know has happened is that housing prices, probably because of high demand, have been going up much faster than wages. And so when we look at the median house price between 2013 and 2018, we see a 43% increase in the cost of the median price house. And during the same time frame, wages increased only 17%. So there's a real problem with affordability there. People's wages have not increased at the same rate that the cost of housing has. And then to circle back around to sort of the difference between cost burden renters and owners, we know that in our region in particular, there's a real lack of supply of studio and 1-bedroom apartments. And so renters are really facing a serious crunch there. Washington State has one of the lowest apartment vacancy rates in the country, and Walla Walla has one of the lowest vacancy rates in Washington State. So we're at about 0.5% vacancy rate in our 1-bedroom and studio apartments. So that puts a lot of pressure on the market.
I feel that even anecdotally, having had people call me and say, "Have you heard of any apartment for rent?" Or, "Have you heard of a house for sale in this range?" Like, no, I really haven't.
Yeah, and I mean, our study didn't go into this, and I don't really want to speculate, but I think we all sort of recognize that during this COVID period where smaller towns like Walla Walla are becoming more attractive to folks in larger urban areas, I think that, the folks that we work with who work in the real estate sector have told us that the trend continues.
Mm-hmm. And Nancy, I'm sure in your work, you may have something to add to these thoughts about what the issues are we're dealing with.
I look at this issue with 2 hats. I look at it as an employer because we're the 20th largest employer in Walla Walla County. And I look at us as a service provider for the clients that we support. Almost all of our clients are very low income, and Walla Walla County is 39th out of 39 counties as far as affordable housing units for people who are very low income. Mm-hmm. So we've been seeing this for a very long period of time, that it's hard to support our clients and find housing for them. And then our big pool of staff members, almost 200 staff members, have an equally difficult time finding housing. And they may be married, they may be single, they may have families. It's been universal. It's across the board housing for our employees and housing for our clients. It's a major struggle. I hear stories every day. I've had staff members become homeless. I myself have somebody always living in my house because they would be homeless without it. They cannot find housing they can afford. And that goes from doctors, lawyers, dentists, employees at Valley Residential Services, and very low income people. I think you'll hear those stories from everyone.
Mm-hmm. So Rachel, how will the Common Roots Housing Trust make a difference here? How will it help make ownership affordable for more people?
So the goal of Common Roots is to provide permanently affordable homes to folks who are shut out of the traditional real estate market in terms of accessing homes that are safe and affordable for them. Common Roots, it will be a nonprofit organization that will hold land in trust and will build homes on top of that land and incorporate existing homes on top of that land into this housing trust. And home buyers can buy the homes on top of the land and pay a modest lease fee every year to Common Roots in order to use the land that the homes are on. And by doing this, it cuts out the cost of the land from the real estate transaction and brings down the total housing cost for homeowners. Common Roots, like I said, is also a nonprofit organization. So the goal of the organization is to make sure that that residents can access safe, affordable, quality homes. So Common Roots won't be making a profit with the development of these homes for community members. And the goal is for them to be permanently affordable. So homeowners can buy into Common Roots, they can build equity, and at the same time, when they go to sell their homes, the amount that they can make on their homes will be restricted so that the next homeowner, the next home buyer can afford to buy homes in Common Roots. We want this to be a permanent community asset that serves many households in our communities who need permanently affordable homes.
Yes, and you are going to be holding a town hall event very soon. Can you give us some details about that?
Yeah, happy to. So next Monday, January 11th at 6 p.m., we will have a free live virtual town hall on Zoom because of COVID. We would love to meet in person, but we will be meeting virtually. And we will have a range of speakers speaking at the town hall where we will be officially introducing Common Roots Housing Trust to the community for the first time and telling community members what it is that we have done so far and what we plan to be doing in the future. We will have several community stakeholders from across our region speaking to why we do need Common Roots Housing Trust in our region, why we need what is called a community land trust. To meet some of those unmet housing needs that Catherine and Nancy were talking about. We will also have a consultant who's working with us to help establish Common Roots, who's recognized as a leading expert in the field of community land trusts across the country. She's helped to develop community land trusts. And so she's working with us now. And she'll speak to attendees at the town hall about what community land trusts are and why they're such important assets to communities throughout the country and how they've been successful models in different regions of the country. And also she will speak to what kind of needs Common Roots Housing Trust will be meeting through the development of homes.
Very good. I think that the town hall is really important because as you've all been sharing with me, a number of questions have come up in my mind, which we won't have time to really delve into on today's show, but questions related to how does it work, how does it sustain? And you've answered those a little bit, and where does the money go and what happens with the land? And, a lot of things that I think will be answered very nicely at the town hall. And with this being kind of a new idea for our community, important for us to attend, to understand what's happening and how it works.
Yes, definitely. And we really want Common Roots to become a community asset. The establishment of Common Roots, as far as Nancy and Catherine have talked about, has really been a community-driven initiative, a community-based initiative with volunteers from throughout our region coming together to make this vision a reality so that we can build more permanently affordable homes in our region. So we definitely want any and all community members to attend, to come and learn about this important new initiative for our region.
Very good. So how do they get connected with this Zoom town hall?
They can go to Common Roots Housing Trust website. It's commonrootshousing.org. And then when they go into the website, they can check out the events page and register through the events page at Common Roots Housing's website.
Great. Well, I want to thank each of you for being my guests today on the This Week show. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Rachel. Just really appreciate your time in sharing something really important that's going on here in our community.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
All right. Again, thanks to these three ladies, and thank you for watching. I will be right back. Time now for station news. And the first thing I need to say is a huge thank you to our volunteers, especially our engineering-minded volunteers who have been putting in lots and lots of extra time at the station over the last couple of weeks, and even some hours into the night last night. So we are really making progress forward on our move to the new facility and our move toward high definition. In fact, I need to share with you that the new automation system, which is capable of high definition, is now in place. And is the automation system functioning at Blue Mountain Television to bring you all of the programming that you're seeing? So that is great news for us. Now, this doesn't come without a few challenges and hitches and things to work out. In fact, some of them will have to work out very quickly in order to make everything run smoothly as we get into some live programs like church services and that sort of thing here in our community. So I'm inviting your prayers too, that you would pray for our team who is working really hard to get all of these things going together. And these technical gentlemen who are helping us at the station are all volunteers. So a huge, huge thank you to them and to you for your prayers and your donations that are helping things to move forward. Also, great news about moving to the new facility, and that is that the concrete has now been poured in those posts that we need for the satellite dishes to be installed at the new facility. So this took place last week. Now we're just waiting for this concrete to cure so that we can go ahead and mount the dishes there. And again, this is part of that process of getting high definition television coming to you on Blue Mountain TV. As we've mentioned a number of times on this show, this is a top priority for us. And so we're excited to see some progress going forward there. Now, some of you noticed that we had a glitch in our broadcasts on channel 21 over the weekend. On Saturday morning, we lost our signal to channel 21, which is way up at Pikes Peak in the Blue Mountains. And again, such a providential blessing that the weather was so beautiful, clear, and warm on Sunday, because our engineers were able to go right on up the mountain without any trouble like we might normally have this time of year in the winter, and get that restored, repaired, and working and on the air again. So happy that that signal is back and working. And also, I wanted to remind you that we have a new program on Blue Mountain Television. We talked about this last week, but I'm reminding you again that we have a new program called Country Wisdom with hosts Jim Eyre and Janice Nelson. And again, this is like simple country wisdom and a down-to-earth biblical counsel, and all recorded in some beautiful settings. So I hope that you'll be tuning into that program, which begins January 10. So we haven't actually started it yet, but it will very, very soon, January 10 at 6 p.m. And then continuing on from there, Sundays at 6 p.m., Mondays at 9 p.m., and Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m. And of course, you can always go to our website to check out our schedule and find out about programs that are new, what's happening, when you can watch particular programs over the air. And you can also find a lot of programs on demand at our website so that you can watch them at your convenience. And of course, our live stream there as well. And I, of course, have to say this whenever we get this opportunity to talk together, and that is that your gifts to the station, your donations to this ministry are the thing that makes it happen. We would not be a station, a ministry, a broadcast entity, a streaming entity of any kind without you. So thank you. Here we are at the beginning of the year. It's an opportunity to decide who are you going to support during this coming year? What will your charitable contributions be during 2021? And I certainly pray that Blue Mountain Television will be one of those organizations at the top of your list that you want to support here in our community, as we're doing lots of exciting things, moving toward HD, moving toward our new facility, bringing you new programs, creating new local content, connecting better with our community, and providing a really important and essential resource, especially during this time when we are tied to our homes a lot more than we have been in the past. And so I ask again that you count Blue Mountain Television as an important place to give your gifts, and really they're gifts of love that you're giving to God and His kingdom as you support Blue Mountain Television. So I ask that you consider doing that for the year 2021, hopefully on a regular monthly basis, because our monthly operating costs continue on and remain the same month by month, as well as these exciting projects that we're working on. So thank you. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for contributing to a ministry that is all about connecting with our community and helping us all to better understand who God is in His beautiful character of love and the plan that He has for each of our futures. So thanks for what you're doing, and I hope that you'll continue to keep watching a lot of Blue Mountain Television, that you'll keep watching this show for updates about what's happening, and I want to thank you for tuning in today. I will see you next time.